What's going on, drivers? Welcome to Trucking with Old Snapper. You got Old Snapper here. Well, I'm going to talk about a few different things in this video. First, we're going to talk about what New Mexico's trying to do to truck drivers. We're going to talk about the real mega carriers. The real mega carriers. Yes, that's what I said. I believe there's a little more to it than just your Swift and Knights of the world. And we're going to talk about states arresting drivers who cannot speak English. We're going to talk about all three of those in this video right here. So let's jump off into it. First, what is New Mexico trying to do to truck drivers? Well, drivers, I saw an article written, and instead of just reading it to you, I'm going to tell you about it. They're wanting to lower the speed limit for trucks and trucks only from 75 to 65. Now, I know for the vast majority of us, that doesn't affect us. But some of your owner-operators, some of your faster companies, smaller carriers, it will affect them. Now, they claim it's to help safety and create a distance between cars and trucks and yada, yada, blah, blah. Okay, we all know that's BS. It's a revenue catcher is what it is. You know, New Mexico needs revenue. That's why they work their scale houses so hard like they do. No different than California. They need revenue. That's why they work their scale houses so hard. And it's a revenue getter. That's all it is. They're going to drop it to 65. People are still going to try to push it. And they're going to make some money on it. That's all it is. They're trying to make some money off of truck drivers. As if the inspections and all that stuff isn't enough for them, right? Because slowing us down isn't going to help safety. If anything, it's going to cause more problems. You know, you got all of us doing 65. Pretty much everybody out here can do 65. So if you got all of us doing 65, their locals are not going to be able to get on the highway. We're going to be lined up in that right lane. New Mexico already has a left lane law. You know, we can't be in the left lane unless we're passing. We can get a ticket. They do enforce that. And I personally know of a driver who's gotten a ticket for that. So you got to be careful when you're out there in the left lane. You know, so it's just a way for them to create more revenue, more money for the state, pay for their BS programs and their giveaways like a lot of those blue states do. Now on to the real mega carriers. I know like 12 or 13 years ago, I remember riding down the road with a student, and him and myself were talking about these big companies, right? We were talking about the JB Hunts and the Knight Transportations and the Swift Transportations and the Schneiders of our trucking world. You know, and at the time, a lot of this DEF and different things like that were coming into play. I think e-logs were just coming out at the time. It may have been a little bit longer, but it was back in those days. And him and I agreed that a lot of these things that were coming about were meant to push the owner-operators out. You know, so these larger companies would continue to get bigger. It'd make it harder for owner-operators to operate and be financially profitable. You know, and here recently, I've gone to work for E.W. Wiley, right? And E.W. Wiley is owned or managed, I'm not sure exactly how all that goes, by Dasky, which is a part of TFI. And just in curiosity, I looked them up. You are to see the amount of companies that they are involved in. Let me just put it like that, because I don't know how far involved they are. But the amount of companies in the United States under their list. Now, they're a Canadian company. And apparently there's another company in the United States that does the same thing. And it got me to thinking, the real mega carrier isn't Swift. It isn't Schneider. It isn't JB Hunt. It's these big mega money boxes, I'll call it, I guess you could say, like TFI, Dasky, that are buying up multiple companies in the United States and controlling them. And I say in the United States because this company, I think I said this earlier, they're out of Canada. They're not even an American company. They're a Canadian company. And I think that's the direction it's headed. You're probably going to end up with 3 or 4 major corporations in the future that own all of the trucking companies in the United States. And eventually they'll push these owner-operators completely out. Every time they come out with a regulation or something new that you have to do to a truck, it doesn't hurt these companies out here. Just like the hours of service. They could cut the hours of service back to 4 hours a day. It would not hurt these companies out here. They would just have us relay loads. Every time we stopped, we would just pass our load off to somebody else. Repower or relay, whatever your company calls it, right? That load would stay moving. They would still get their freight covered. But these owner-operators, especially these 1 or 2 truck operations, 3 truck operations, they don't have an option for that. So these hours of service laws and different things like that hurt them. So it just got me to thinking that maybe we're looking at it, or maybe myself, I looked at it from a real small point of view, that the actual mega carriers, I'll just call them, that may be controlling everything in the future would be these large companies like TFI. And I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are about this, and if any of y'all are aware of this. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this. The next thing I want to discuss is I saw a short on Facebook, I believe, and it was talking about how this driver was in Arkansas, and he saw the Arkansas DOT verifying that drivers could speak English. They were having to read a piece of paper. They were having to communicate with the officers, and if they couldn't, they were being arrested. All right, he said he saw them in handcuffs. And then I saw there was Asian Maya or Mother Trucker, however, I'm not sure what he's going by now. I haven't really watched a whole lot of him in recent times, but he did something where he talked about it, and to be honest with you, I didn't watch the video, but I went and did my own research on this, and I called and talked to the DOT there in Arkansas. I just figured, well, let me make a call. I called a way station, and they're not verifying it with me. All they would say is, yes, that is a regulation by the FMCSA, but to the officer that I spoke to the best of his knowledge, that hadn't been happening. And he said even if it was being enforced, arresting drivers wouldn't necessarily be what would happen. Would they be put out of service? Yes. Possibly have their trucks towed, maybe. Companies being contacted, different things like that. CDLs or CDL being revoked or something like that if they're out of Arkansas. That could possibly be something that would come about. But drivers actually being arrested, not so much. And then it got me to thinking, the guy that was saying all this, I mean, he's on his phone, obviously, in his truck, right? And he's telling the audience that this is what he saw. But he never had a picture or even audio or video of what he saw. So I'm kind of thinking maybe he was just stirring the pot, and, that video kind of went viral, and I don't blame it. I mean, it would. Should everybody out here be able to speak the same language? Yeah. I mean, we can't put our street signs in 3 or 4 different languages. And it's hard on shippers and receivers when they can't communicate, brokers, so we do all need to be on the same language. It's a safety hazard for us not to be, right? Our signs are in English, our speeds are in miles per hour, not in kilometers. And a lot of the signage at these shippers and receivers as to where to go and what lane to be in or whatever, it's all most of the time in English. So we do need to all speak the same language, in my opinion. That's just me personally. But I think this video and what's being stated, in my opinion, I believe it's false. I believe the guy was just throwing some stuff out there, throwing a dart at the board, and he hit a viral video. Man, congratulations on that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think he put a little bit of false information out whenever he made that statement. And if it is happening, it was happening at whatever scale house he was at that day. And the officer I spoke to wasn't aware of it, even still wasn't aware of it. So I don't know. Have any of y'all seen anybody actually being arrested? Or do you have pictures of anyone actually being arrested? Or video preferably? If you do, send it to me. AmericanTruckersUnited@gmail.com. I appreciate all of y'all for stopping by. Y'all take care. Stay safe. Oh, one more thing. Once a week, I've been kind of doing this thing, or I just started doing this thing where I buy one of y'all lunch, basically. Now, obviously, it's hard to meet up out here and buy lunch, but I found a way to do that. It's kind of a way of me giving back a little bit, for y'all watching my videos and stuff like that, right? I take some money and I'll hide it, put it in a Ziploc bag, or I'll buy a product in a truck stop. I think the last time it was a money clip, and I stuck some money in it, and then I hid it. And I'll create a short kind of telling everybody where it's at, or a TikTok telling everybody where it's at, and dropping the address, the nearest address or whatever. and some pictures of what it looks like where it's at. And whoever finds it, hey, it's yours. You get dinner on me, whatever, or if you want to save that money, put it towards your retirement. Whatever the case is, it's yours. And whatever product I stuck it in, that's yours too. And that's my gift to you. But you got to watch my videos if you want to find it. It could be in one of these. It could be in a short. It could be in a TikTok. But if I put it on TikTok, I'm also going to put it on YouTube. So you don't have to go watch TikTok to find it. But it'll either be in one of these videos or in a short. Anyway, y'all take care, stay safe, and keep trucking.